Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome. I hope you have been staying safe and well in this rather difficult time. It's lovely to see so many of you joining us today for our webinar, Sleep Solutions. My name's Susanna Warren, and I'm the Director of Music and Member Events at the Arts Club. So we spend a third of our lives sleeping, and let's get it right. Reports of poor sleep and insomnia have been steadily rising for some time, and during the current global crisis, a lot of us are finding it difficult to switch off. So whether it's cognitive function to digestion, lack of sleep severely affects everyday life and can have a significant long-term health implications. I'm delighted, therefore, to be introducing Dr Jan Stritzke, a practitioner of Lanserhof Tegernsee and the future medical director of Lanserhof Sylt. And he is here to explore the significance of not getting enough sleep, but also the ways in which we can improve it. And Dr Stritzke is a specialist in internal medicine and cardiology. And in the course of his career, he's also worked intensively on the subject of sleep medicine and therapy, and was really instrumental in further expanding this area at Lanserhof. So if anyone has any questions over the duration of the talk, do type them in to the Q&A box, and Dr. Stritzke will answer as many of them as possible at the end of the talk. So welcome, Dr. Stritzke. How are you today?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation and to join this evening with you here. Maybe I can give some suggestions, some helps about sleep disorders, some new information or treatment hints. Let's see.
Brilliant. Thank you. So sleep disorders probably affect every person at some point of life. And if they last longer, they may become a disorder or disease even. But what are the different types of sleep disturbances?
Well, there are many different sleep disorders, but let's focus on the most common ones. So I think the most common one is insomnia, so that there are problems to fall asleep or to sleep through the night. And another one which has a big clinical implication are sleep-related breathing disorders. So because they are more common than we all believe, especially also cardiologists or patients or physicians who treat hypertension always forget or have to think, especially also on sleep disorders, because they are not so easy to detect and to diagnose.
Okay, so let's start with sleep-related breathing disorders. Are they common? What makes them so dangerous?
Well, snoring is very common, and most of us, especially the females, know or the wives who live beyond them, so they detect that the male is snoring. but snoring itself is not the issue. The big issue is if you have also a drop in oxygen level during the nighttime, because that stresses the body, And well, so you try to relax and recover for the next night, but because your body always has a drop in oxygen, maybe the brain just gives not the command to breathe, or the body can't breathe because something is occluded here. There are two different types of sleep disorders, but the result is the same. So you have a drop in oxygen, and this drop in oxygen is stress. So that means you sleep, but you can't recover. And the next morning, sometimes you feel destroyed, or you have seconds of sleep while driving your car to work, or you can't concentrate, you have headache or whatever. So that could be one reason or one effect.
And I mean, does everyone who snores at night have a breathing problem?
No, not all of them. The question is whether you have a blockage in the upper airways. So, and especially the obese ones, because the fatty tissue which you have in the abdomen is pretty much the same like what you have here at the neck. And that means when you increase body weight, you also accumulate fatty tissue here around the breathing, the upper airway. And that means it is harder to breathe. Well, when you're awake, all the muscles contract and open the airway. So that's not a problem. But if you fall asleep, also the muscles relax. And that means it could result in a blockage here. And you need more effort for correct breathing. And what happens? You fall in deep sleep, muscle relax, and you stop breathing. And then you get stressed because oxygen level also drops. And then you get a small arousal. You will not awake, but the body gets more active. So the muscle contracts. You start snoring because that's a signal that you reopen the airway and you breathe faster. You get an increase in oxygen level. And then you fall asleep again, a deep sleep. And then the same happens again. Blockage of the airways, drop in oxygen, stress. And that happens the whole night. Some of the patients have it once in a minute, or even more often. They have a drop in oxygen to sometimes 70%. If you are working in the intensive care unit like me for a long time, and you see that with a patient, you become stressed because it's so dangerous. But here it happens the whole nighttime and nobody detects it.
So the typical symptoms that the patient notices are tiredness, concentration disorders, headaches. What else are we looking for?
Well, sometimes they even have no symptoms. They just feel not relaxed the next morning, but they thought it's normal because, well, maybe they only sleep 6 hours, and they say, well, it's normal because it's too short, but I have to work the next morning, I have to get up early. So, and that's the reason why over the years, the patient have all the side effects like stroke, heart attack, arrhythmias, high blood pressure, diabetes, but you will never detect the reason because it's not so clear that it is a sleeping disorder. So, and that's the reason why you always have to have it in mind when you have problems with that chronic diseases. You have a client and you have done everything else. So look for sleep disorders, especially for apnea.
So when do we know that we need diagnostics or therapy? Because also, isn't it okay to snore?
Well, I ask all my clients, meanwhile, if they have problems with snoring, or if the wife complains that you stop breathing during the nighttime, or even patients with high blood pressure or diabetes or obese patients especially. I offer to have a screening device, to wear a screening device during the nighttime to see whether there is a drop in oxygen or not. And more, it's become also popular to self-tracking during the nighttime. So there are some devices which have offers indirect measurements, like the Apple Watch. And I think in 1 or 2 months there will be another device which can wear also during the nighttime, which is also a fitness tracker, but it will measure also oxygen drops during the nighttime, and then give you an alert. Well, you have oxygen drops. Be aware. See your physician to ask for help and therapy.
So then, what are the therapies that we would take if we had some of those problems?
Well, if you have a severe problem with a lot of drops in oxygen during the nighttime, you need a breathing device. So you know that maybe for an intensive care unit, you have to wear a mask, and this support breathing by opening the airways throughout the whole night sounds not comfortable, but patients who were affected severely, they love their devices because they feel more relaxed the next morning, and they feel more powerful. So if you can deal with the problem with the machine, you will never leave it at home. Even traveling around, you will have always your breathing device with you. But that is only necessary for severe cases. And well, we at the Lanserhof Tegernsee, we see a lot of clients who know that they have health problems, and they would just want to get help with their health and get some tricks. And that's the reason why we see a lot of patients who lower dramatically their body weight or increase physical activity. And that's the reason why my first suggestion in most of the cases is, well, try to lose weight, change your lifestyle, be back half a year, 1 year later, let's do the test again. And what I've never seen in my office, I see a lot of patients in my clinics, so they manage to lose weight, and then they have no sleep disorders afterwards, or only mild ones.
So reduction of body weight, are there any form of exercises that we can be doing around our kind of neck area?
Well, there are some studies. Well, they said, well, if you treat your breathing muscles, for example, if you do sports with a mask, increasing the resistance of the airways during sports may help. But, well, to be honest, this is not scientifically proven at the moment. So there's no specific sports available at the moment helping with sleep disorders, with drops in oxygen. So, but weight loss has a dramatic effect. So if you manage to lose weight, you lose weight here also. You can measure the neck circumference during the time, and then you will also be cured, or will even lower the amount of the oxygen drops during the nighttime. So, well, and if that is not enough, you can also, if you have a mild sleep apnea, ask your dentist to produce a mandibular protrusion device. Sounds horrible, is easy. It's just a device which you wear in the mouth, and it press the lower one part in this direction, and by this, it opens the airways also. This helps a mild to moderate severe cases also. But the most effective one and the easiest one is just lose weight. And you couldn't do that easily with fasting in our facility.
And presumably the reduction of alcohol consumption or very sort of heavy foods can help with breathing difficulties at night?
Well, of course, you snore more, and the disease is worsened with alcohol because the muscles even become more relaxed. But that is not a real cure for it. So the most biggest issue is the body weight and the fat accumulation in the back.
Okay. So Jan, I know you're a cardiologist and would like to talk more about this topic, but let's talk about the even more common problems with falling asleep and how we can sleep better through the night. So firstly, why is healthy sleep important? Well,
sleep is really important to recover and to relax and to get more power for the next day. But it affects a lot of immune system in the body. So, for example, it's important to grow. And also it is important to be beautiful and to improve mental fitness, so to become clever, to learn. And also, if you have learned the day before, you have to have a good sleep to encode everything in the brain, to consolidate the things what you have learned. And of course, it's also important for the immune system, especially nowadays with all the problems with coronavirus. Good sleep is so important to improve the immune system. And that is what we don't know so long. I think it's for 2 years, 3 years, that especially the second part of the night is important to clean up the nervous cells. So because then we have a drop in the blood pressure, and that means that we can push toxic poisons from the inner side of the cells outside, and then they are transported away. So, and that means that especially the second part of the night is important for the cleansing process. Well, there are chronic patients who, well, they say, well, I don't need a lot of sleep. After 3 or 4 hours, I feel relaxed. Well, that's true because you lower your sleep pressure, but you missed the cleansing process. And there are some data, if you have chronic sleep deprivation, you have a tendency to dementia because maybe it's related to the poisons which are accumulating in the nervous system.
So it's a cleaning of the brain, of the metabolic system.
Absolutely. So, well, one is the cleaning of the brain, and the other one is the metabolic system, which is also affected by bad sleep. Because, well, if you have always stress, you sleep bad, you have a tendency, high blood pressure, we discussed it already, but also to diabetes and even bad lipids.
And when you refer to sleep being important to be beautiful, so do you mean for good skin, healthy hair, maintaining a healthy weight? Well,
all of that. So we know that if you have a great sleep and you have enough sleep during the time and for a longer time, you look more relaxed, you look fresher, younger, and you're also more powerful.
Yeah. So how does the body prepare for the next night in the course of a day?
Well, during the day, you increase, or we have something, what we call sleep factors, which accumulate during the day. So that means that the sleep pressure during the day increases, and you prepare the whole day for the next night. So the problem is, for example, if you have a nap, let's say it's 1 or whatever, then you lower the sleep pressure, and that means it's harder to fall asleep the next evening. So if you have problems to fall asleep, you should try to avoid short naps during the day, and also coffee, because coffee also may interfere with the sleep pressure. If you drink too late coffee or some other product with caffeine, so then also sleep pressure goes down. It is far harder to fall asleep the next evening.
Yeah, so coffee or caffeine past lunchtime.
Exactly. So my suggestion is, well, have a coffee at breakfast, have the last one before noon, and so then you will sleep far better.
And if you are a good sleeper and you can also have a nap in the afternoon, then that's fine. You can have your nap.
Absolutely. So if you're a good sleeper, there's no need to change anything. So if you sleep, for example, 8 hours or 7.5 hours every day, you feel relaxed, you have no problems, well, don't change anything.
And exercise. So obviously exercise is beneficial for everything, including sleep. But is evening exercise bad for sleep?
Well, for me as a cardiologist, the first thing is what is mostly important. If you think about prevention, moderate activity is the best thing for prevention. 70% of the prevention is just activity. So you see how important activity is. But the problem is if you do it too late, and if you do it too much too late, because if you do a rigorous exercise in the evening, you will accumulate also a lot of stress hormones. You will have a high heart rate. And then, of course, it will be harder to fall asleep later the evening. So my suggestion is, well, if you want to do exercise on a higher level, do it in the morning. It's better with the metabolism to do it in the morning. So, and well, if you want to be active in the evening, do a walk outside, well, something what is not so stressful.
So yoga or stretching, walking.
Exactly. Yoga, stretching, meditation also. Everything what keeps you calm is perfect for that time.
Okay. And then how about television influencing our sleep? Because, of course, for many, it can be a really relaxing, nice way to wind down.
Absolutely. That might be good, but the problem is especially the flat screens. They have a lot of blue light. And the blue light is a problem for us because blue light is the light of the morning. And that means our body detects the blue light and thinks, well, it's the morning, and let's suppress the melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone to prepare for sleep and so on. So and if you lower melatonin because you watch a lot of TV with a flat screen, then, well, it will be even harder to fall asleep. So, and that's the reason why avoid watching TV with a too big flat screen, or if you want to watch TV with a big flat screen, then wear some glasses with blue light filters to prevent the detection of the blue light with the retina and to prevent the drop in melatonin.
So does a laptop have less blue light than a television?
Well, depends on. If you switch on something what they call the night mode, for example, in the iPad or if the iPhone, or also some other manufacturers offer that also, you will detect that the screen becomes more red lighted. So, and that's exactly the effect. So they lower the amount of blue light. So also there are some programs delivered by different companies to filter the blue light from the screen.
Okay, and I presume it's not only the light from our screens, but it's also the sort of dopamine hits that we get from social media, or the anxiety of replying to an email late at night.
Yes, absolutely. Also, the problem is that we have no working hours anymore. So you start in the morning, have a first look in your emails, even at home. So then you go to work, you work for 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. You go home, you have your dinner, and then again you have a look in your computer. So it's important not to be with your work the whole day, especially not before going to bed. Because what will happen? So you go to bed, you will think again about the last day, what was good, what was bad, so what you will do the next morning, so what you should not forget. And by being always involved with your work, well, of course, it will hard to fall asleep.
Yeah, and at the moment, on the flip side, there's many people on furlough or who aren't at work, and of course the importance of routine for our sleep is integral. So how would you suggest that we can get that routine back if we're not working?
Well, so you're talking about the routine, and that's the most important thing in the body, because every biological system have different waves, so in cycles, and that's also our body has that. So we produce some hormones in the morning, others only in the evening, and even every cell has a cycle about 24 hours and a little bit more. So that means if you want to stay healthy, you have to have mostly the same rhythms every day. So you have to get up at the same time, you have to go to bed, you have to eat, you have to go to the toilet to work. So, and that's important to follow that routine even at the weekend.
And the circadian rhythms, including like how much light we get. I mean, is it important? How much light should we be getting every day on our skin?
Absolutely. Because as I've told you already, so our cells have a rhythm which is a little bit more than 24 hours. So we need different signals to synchronize all the cells and all the biological systems. And one important thing is the light. And here again, the blue light is important. The blue light of the morning, because that gives the signal, well, the morning arrives and we have to get up and to work, whatever. But the blue light in the morning, so a walk outside is really a great signal for the body to synchronize the cells. So you can synchronize everything what's linked to the brain with the blue light. And then you need another signal because we have a different neurological system, which is the gut, which has its own system, neurological system. And also this has to be synchronized, and that is the first meal of the day. So this could be just one coffee, but it's better to have a full breakfast to give even the gut the signal, well, the morning starts and here's a new day.
But then how can we do our intermittent fasting if we are meant to be having our breakfast?
Well, so skipping the breakfast is known not to be the best for intermittent fasting. So we know that if you skip the breakfast, most of the clients will have the main meal of a day at dinner. But at dinner, your body switches already to go to bed. And that means it also lowers metabolism. And that means if you slower your metabolism, you have a higher risk to develop diabetes, to increase body weight, because everything what you eat too late, especially carbohydrates. My favorite carbohydrate is alcohol. So if you eat too late or drink too late too much alcohol, you store everything in the fatty tissue. So it is far better to skip the dinner, and you see it on your scale. If you skip the dinner, the next morning you will have 500 grams less than the day before. If you have a full dinner or a lot of alcohol and a lot of sweets afterwards, then you will have 500 grams more the next day on the scale.
So try and finish at about 6 p.m., 7 p.m. for dinner?
Exactly. Or even earlier. Or you skip it. No, it's far easier. So especially for the males, it's far easier to skip a full meal than for the females because they have different metabolism. So for a male will die because of carbohydrates. It's important to know. And because of the late meals. So skipping meals and rejection of carbohydrates is essential for every male. So, and that's easy. A male will never have a drop in sugar level, never becomes problems. So for a male, it's just to deal with his addiction for food. The females is a little bit different. So they have a problem with drop in the sugar level. And so that means that they get headache or bad mood or whatever. For them, it's better to have a light and early dinner to prevent too low level of sugar level.
Okay. And so are there any foods in particular that can help sleep?
Well, first, it's important not to eat too much too late because then this will interfere with sleep. Because if you eat too much, the body has to work really hard and all the digestive processes are really slow in the evening. So that means if you have a heavy, big meal too late, the next night will, of course, be horrible. So, and then you should avoid drinking too much alcohol too late because it's also, you will fall immediately asleep. Well, that's true. But the sleep itself, sleep quality will be really low. And you will, everybody knows that with a lot of alcohol, the next morning is horrible. And
How
the
much?
reason for that.
Too much. What about 2 glasses? Do you think that's okay?
Well, if it's not every day, it might be okay. But, for a long time, we saw that alcohol has a beneficial effect also in the field of cardiovascular disease. But now you know that it was a statistical problem. So every amount of alcohol is a problem also for cancer and so on. So avoid alcohol whenever possible. However, it's part of our lifestyle, and I love heavy red wine, for example, and some cheese. So don't restrict yourself too much. Have it at the weekend, and be a little bit more strict during the weekdays.
And do you think that alcohols with a lower sugar content, i.e., spirits, as opposed to wine or beer, are going to be the better option if you're a bad sleeper?
I think there's no direct comparison if that is really a better issue or not. So, I can't answer this question in particular.
And sorry, back to the foods that could help a good night's sleep.
Yeah. Well, back to foods that could help with good night's sleep. This could be, for example, if you drink herbal teas before going to bed, if you take melatonin or some other supplements which may help. You can drink also some drinks which consist of curcuma or some other herbal things. This may help with sleep, but try it out and find your personal routine.
So so turmeric or the golden milk is good. Chamomile tea or lavender.
Yeah, so there are some studies seeing a benefit in that, but it depends on anybody of us. So if you feel relaxed and you feel you get the mood for better sleep with that routine, do it. If you can't feel any effect, try another thing. So the problem is, or the question is, the routine. Find your evening routine so that you have always the same, that you get relaxed, drink your tea or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that bananas and warm milk reduce tryptophan, which helps you sleep, and that our body needs vitamin B6 to help make melatonin and serotonin. Yeah. So foods like tuna or halibut, salmon, raw garlic, pistachio nuts, Brazil nuts, walnuts.
Yeah. May help, may not. So, for example, if you take tryptophan, amino acid, as a supplement, which is a precursor of melatonin, which helps you to fall asleep, it's also a precursor of dopamine and noradrenaline. So some of the clients, they take tryptophan, they sleep better because they have a tendency to produce more melatonin. The others produce more of the noradrenaline, and they become more stressed. They get a faster heart beating. So everybody reacts different in this case. So, and that's again, try it, find it out. So, and also melatonin. Some patients, well, they sleep like a baby with it. Others, well, they just don't even feel anything.
So are there any other supplements that you would recommend?
Yeah, so we suggest first melatonin or L-tryptophan and see how the patient reacts. And if insomnia becomes a really big problem, we also sometimes start to prescribe antidepressants, specific antidepressants, which are so low in the dosage so that you can't even buy it. So you have to break every pill in pieces. And this is not for a long-term cure. It's just well, it's sometimes it's a vicious circle. So you get a bad night. The next evening, well, you think, well, the last night was horrible. This time I have to sleep great because tomorrow I have to work a lot of things. And then the next night will even become worse because you're thinking about the last night and the things that you have to do the next day. So, and to break this vicious circle, sometimes drug therapy may be a good idea. But I will never prescribe, especially not for long time, use sleeping pills because most of them, they are like diazepam or something like that. And
very addictive. Yeah,
exactly. You become addicted really fast. So even if you have it just for 1 month, you are addicted to it. So, and that's the reason why I personally prefer, also for myself, when I have stressful life, so from time to time, to have antidepressant on a really low dosage, just to have some normal nights, and then you can stop again, and you will not have any problems with it.
And what about CBD oil?
Yes, also that helps. There are some scientific works about that, but these may help to become more relaxed, to get better, to sleep, to fall asleep. Yes, but there is not the golden way. I don't know how to describe it, which helps in anybody. So
yeah. And which form of magnesium is best for sleep?
Well, which form of magnesium? So especially females have problems with lack of magnesium. I personally prefer the magnesium citrate because it not only helps to fall asleep, it also has good effect on the muscle and also on the gut. So when you are constipated, this magnesium citrate is also helpful in this case.
Okay, and I also heard when I was talking to another one of the Lanserhof doctors recently, Dr. Tamsin Lewis, she recommended Doc Parsley sleep remedy. Have you come across that one?
Well, we tried it several times, but I have it not here in my clinic, so I have no experience with that.
Yeah, so she said it's a sleep remedy. It's designed to restore nutrients and help balance your stress hormones. The main ingredients are melatonin, L-tryptophan, 5-HTP, magnesium, vitamin D3, and a couple of others. So I think it's...
Exactly. It's just a supplementation of the minerals which we or vitamins and minerals and micronutrition, which commonly known to have lack of. So, but I personally prefer to do mineral analysis and to see where's the specific lack in the macronutrition. So, well, most of our clients, they have a lack in vitamin D, that's true, and especially also the B vitamins. Yeah. And by the way, especially nowadays, with the problem of coronavirus infection, and so it's important, I think, not to have any lack in the macronutrition. Well, there's no study having demonstrated a clear benefit in viral infection, also especially not for coronaviruses. But nowadays, I'm also on B12, vitamin D, and vitamin C at the moment. So I would not recommend it for long-term supplementation, but at that time, it may be a good idea.
Okay. And just going back to insomnia, would love just a few more tips that you have, like when do we get out of bed if we've woken up in the night and we're tossing and turning, and maybe just a little bit more about the wind down process before you go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, so what we discussed already is to have a comfortable evening. Don't think about problems that you might have. Wind down, have a talk with your husband if that is relaxing, or do some meditation, have a walk outside at the beach, for example, or in the forest, and then have your routine to wind down, go to bed. What's also important is sometimes, or some of our clients have problems with cold feet. So, and cold feet is a really big issue to fall asleep, because when you have cold feet, you can't relax. You will not fall asleep also. Because what is important for sleep is that the body temperature goes down a little bit. And you do so by opening the arteries, pushing warmness and heatness from the body towards the legs and the arms. But if you have cold feet, all the arteries are blocked towards the feet. And that's the reason why it's hard to fall asleep with cold feet. So if that is your issue, and you see there are different issues in all the clients to fall asleep, but if you have a problem with cold feet, you can have foot baths, warm foot baths before going to bed. You can wear light socks, or you just have a hot water bottle to preheat the bed also.
Yes, that's interesting. And aromatic oils?
Aromatic oils, yes, they help also, because if you link them with being relaxed. So, for example, when you get a massage, for example, or when you're relaxed, you can smell the oils, and if you smell the same, so then you get also relaxed and feel more prepared to fall asleep.
And do you think that actually having your electronic devices out of your room, really, not just from looking at them, but from the waves that they emit, actually makes a noticeable difference?
Well, there are some studies, but not big ones, which may relate sleep insomnia with some magnetic waves, but I don't believe in that. So I think the main issue is, well, if you get awake. So first, if you read emails just before going to bed, of course, or before trying to fall asleep, this is not good. But if you get awake during the nighttime and then you have just a fast view, well, how late it is, are there any new news or whatever? Of course, then you activate your brain so much that then it will be a problem to fall asleep again. So.
And you touched on meditation apps earlier. So, I mean, there's Headspace, Calm, Insight Timer. Do you have a favorite meditation app?
Well, I don't have a favorite meditation app. I do it by myself. But there are several things like Calm and so on. So there are also special devices, but I don't like to have a specific device to wear it during the night for meditation. So you can try to learn it with a device, and then you will see that it is far easier than you believe. And so then you don't need a device, just do your meditation, and you will see will calm down and it's easier to fall asleep.
So, how can we counteract the effects of stress on our sleep?
Sorry, how could we?
How can we so apart from meditation and the supplements, are there any other ways that you think we can counteract the effects of stress on sleep?
Well, of course, if you have a big stress level, sometimes also a consultation or speak with a therapist is a good way to deal with. Yeah. So, if it's such a strong sleep problem or case of insomnia, and it is related to stress, then of course you need some help to find where is the biggest stressor in your lifetime during your day and to solve that problem. Yeah.
And earlier on, you touched about weekend sleep. I mean, is it true that we can sort of claw back the time on the weekends by sleeping a few extra hours, or is that not advised?
Yeah, well, you can catch up the sleep which you missed in the days in the week. But anyway, if we discussed already that you have to live in rhythm. So, and at the moment, it's usual to get up early in the week and to sleep longer at the weekend. So, and that is a problem because it's the same like a long distance flight. So we call it a social jet lag. So, well, we can cover 1 hour difference. That seems to be easy, but even everything what is more than that is a stressor. And of course, it interferes with sleep quality. And maybe you discovered also that if you sleep at the weekend, even for a long time, sometimes you don't feel relaxed. And that's the reason, again, because of the different time points between the weekends when you go to sleep and when you go to sleep during your work days. So, and what is also an issue is to find out your amount of sleep which you really need to fully recover. And that's in most of the cases something between 7 and 9 hours. So, and if you want to find that out, have a time with holidays. So for the first week, you will just recover from the stress of the busy days, and you will get more sleep because you missed some days, some hours of sleep the weeks or months before. But in the second week, you will detect that you will always sleep pretty much the same time. And sometimes you also get awake at the same time, even without an alarm clock. And that is your personal amount of sleep which you need to recover. And if you think it's less than 7 hours, that's really unlikely. Most of us, they need something around 7 and 9 hours.
And teenagers.
Again, think about the last part of the night, which is important for detox.
Yes.
So don't force yourself to get up too early.
So teenagers often want to sleep for 12 hours. And then as we get older, is it true that the quality of our sleep worsens, or we sleep for less hours?
Well, of course, we have a change during our lifetime, and we need less sleep at the end when you become older, and you need more sleep when you're younger. Especially, you see it with the babies who are sleeping mostly the whole day. So, and that's the reason why, especially for teenagers, a strict routine is important. So, especially when they want to be successful in school. So, if they don't sleep enough, well, it's hard to learn and to improve your knowledge. And
Thank you so much. That was so interesting. I can see that we've got quite a few questions. So, are you happy to field them?
Yeah, well, of course, I try to answer them, but should I see it here? Oh,
it's just in the Q&A box.
In the Q&A box. Here, yeah. Which fitness trackers can be used to measure oxygen drops during the nighttime? Well, at the moment, to my knowledge, there's no fitness tracker available. The Apple Watch was designed at the beginning to measure it, but they do not open it at the moment. But there's a really great brand called Withings from France. My favorite tracker also for body weight and blood pressure. And they just presented a new watch which can directly measure oxygen drops during the nighttime. And it is said that they will release it in 1 month.
Wow. So someone's also said, what do you do if you wake up in the middle of the night and can't fall asleep?
Well, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't fall asleep. So sometimes it's when it's a severe one, then you just restart with thinking, and so on. So in the severe cases, we offer also from time to time antidepressants. So sometimes melatonin is a good idea because there are two different kinds of melatonin. So one is melatonin which you just take to fall asleep. There's also another one which is more effective throughout the whole night. We call it a retarded melatonin, which also have an effect. And then the question is why you can't fall asleep again. Sometimes it's just if you can't fall asleep, just change your way you're lying in the bed, put your feet to the part where the head usually is and something else, and or just start reading a relaxing book. Or if you really can't fall asleep, well, then get up and leave it like it is. So if you really think and you become mad and more mad that you can't fall asleep, well, you will not fall asleep again. So just get up and do something else, read something outside and go to bed after 1 hour.
Go for a walk.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what are good things to eat for breakfast to help you wake up rather than drinking coffee?
Well, you can eat, or your metabolism is really mostly activated for breakfast and also for lunch. So that means you can have, also the males can have high carbohydrate foods at that time. You should have some fruits. You should have some cereals. Of course, no sugar. Quite clear, sugar is bad at any time. But the problem is not the breakfast. The problem is the dinner in most of the cases, because the dinner is too big, it's too much carbohydrates and so on.
And someone said on the melatonin question, can you take it every day? Is it safe for long-term use?
Yes, it is, but it will not be effective. So if you take it continuously for a long time, you have to increase the dosage, and because you get more and more used to it, and it will not be effective in the long term. So that's the reason why I just suggest to have it to get in better sleep, and if you improve your sleep quality, I suggest to stop the melatonin. So. Well, but again, you have to find it out. You can take it; it's safe, but it's not. I think it's not effective for a long time.
And is melatonin? You can get it from the States. Can you get it from a doctor in the UK, or you can't get it over the counter? Can you?
Well, you can't get it over the counter. I'm not familiar with UK prescription.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so what you can try is a precursor, which is just an amino acid, is L-tryptophan. Well, but once again, it may work because you increase melatonin, but it may also not work because it increases stress hormone.
Why does listening to white noise help to relax?
Well, that's also a question. Well, it is that if you that you get more relaxed when you concentrate on different waveforms. It could be white noise. It could also be some other things that you keep you relaxed. So I personally tried white noise. It does not work with me. So,
what recommendations would you give to people that work night shifts?
well, night shift is really a problem because you have a stress and a shift in your biorhythm every day. And we know that if you have a night shift for a longer time, you're at higher risk for cancer, higher risk for high blood pressure, diabetes, overweight, and so on. So, well, for them, proper sleep is really, really important. And you can try to deal with the melatonin and blue light. So when you get up, even when it's nighttime, so then try to have a really a light with gives a lot of blue light. And if you go to bed, try to take melatonin to shift your personal biorhythm a little bit. But the problem is, if you have 5 days or 1 day the light term shift, then the next week you will be in the early shift. So, and of course, you will always be stressed.
Someone's asked whether naps aid recovery.
Sorry?
Do naps aid recovery?
Yes, of course. So we know, for example, there are studies from Denmark. So they offer their clients to have a nap after lunchtime. And they found out that even if they spend 30 minutes with a nap and they work 30 minutes less than before, they are more productive. So, of course, if you take a nap, I'm taking also some from time to time nap. So then I'm more productive afterwards. Quite clear. The question is whether your sleep is good after the next or during the next night. So, and if you don't have sleep problems and you feel better with a nap, do it. Don't change anything. Nap is helpful to have power for the second part of the day.
And then, is it better to get up early and go to bed early? So, say bed by 8 o'clock and up at 5.
Well, this question is hard to answer. So there are some studies indicating that the night or the sleep before midnight may be more effective. So in this case, it may be better to go to bed. But I think 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. is really early. So I would suggest to go to bed around between 9 and 10 and then sleep until you get up without an alarm clock. So for me, it's always important. It's more important to have the same time to go to bed and the same time to get awake. And I try to get up without an alarm clock. So I know that I need around 8 hours for fully recovery. So when I know that I have to get up at 6:30, I have to go to bed 8.5 hours earlier.
Well, thank you so much for your time and insight today, Dr. Stritzke. There are so many great tips and takeaways.
Well, it was a pleasure to be with you here. Hope you like it a little bit and you get some new insights and some tricks from a cardiologist.
Well, thank you everyone for joining, and I hope this talk will help combat sleeping difficulties you may be facing. If you would like a further one-to-one consultation, do get in touch, and I hope that you all stay safe and well, and good night.
Good night.